Chad Kruger. I'm the director of the Washington State University Center for Sustaining Ag and Natural Resources. Our research team has looked at the impacts of climate change on agriculture and water resource management in the Pacific Northwest. One of the big issues that we've looked at is impacts of climate on drought and variability in wet and dry years, and we've worked on that for the Department of Ecology to try and help them make better decisions about water supply development for irrigation, hydropower, municipal, and in-stream uses. Most of what we've looked at indicates the frequency of low water years will probably increase into the future in the basins that are affected currently. The key being warmer temperatures would melt mountain snow faster and cause droughts in August and September when we need water for irrigation. There was a paper published just recently, though, that looked at the question of decadal or multi-decadal droughts across the western United States and Mexico. And it raised the criticism that global climate models as currently developed don't do a good job of capturing these longer decadal trends in climate. And one of the things that they've missed is drought that would last multiple years. And so in this study, they gave the probability of a decadal drought in much of the desert Southwest at 80 to 90% this century, and the probability of a multi-decadal drought, 30 to 50 years, of 50 to 60%. And even Washington State got a 10 to 20% probability of a decadal drought in this century in that study. And that raises a lot of questions that we hadn't actually thought of before in terms of compounding multi-year effects of drought that, according to our current ability to forecast, we'd only really been forecasting the wet-dry cycle on a very short basis. Yeah, there's potential in some of the more drastic scenarios of temperature increases that, we would have significantly longer growing seasons and warmer average temperatures, and it might mean that there's the need to look at other crops that we don't currently grow. That's somewhat muted by the fact that we are already on the northern end of the range for a lot of the crops that we do grow, and so a little bit of warming and a little bit of elevated CO2 in the atmosphere from our studies actually is kind of a beneficial thing to most agricultural crops we grow in the region. It's when you get into those more extreme scenarios and extreme forecasts that the possibility that Washington State might look a little bit more like Northern California is somewhat realistic by end of century.